Aaron, back from suspension, I suppose you picked a good one to miss, but you'd want to be out there with the lads and trying to make things different on Tuesday night, wouldn't you?
Well, yeah, the opposite. Having me out there, would have the game been different? Probably not. One person's not going to make a massive difference, but yeah, I felt guilty from not being out there and being able to help the boys. It was hard to watch and to see the lads, but these things happen, and like I say, I'm back from suspension now and available for selection. So see how we go the next couple of days, and all being well, if I'm back in the side, then hopefully I can make a difference in trying to help the boys rectify what happened on Tuesday night.
And as club captain, what can you do in your role to aid that process of putting things right?
Well, exactly. It's about rallying the troops and making sure nobody gets too down, too upset, and we don't blow it out of proportion. It's one bad performance. These things happen. There's not we can't really put a finger on it. I'm sure we'll have some words today, but at the end of the day, we've got to come out and be positive now. And once we get on the training pitch, I'm sure a few frustrated minds and bodies will start to be a little bit relieved to get back to what they do daily. And there will be a determination definitely amongst this group to go and put right a few wrongs on Saturday.
Because you look at the table, Cambridge aren't that far ahead of you. In fact, no one's really that far ahead of you. And it does seem just such small margins.
Massively. That's what it is. There's fine margins between turning those draws that we've had into wins and a few losses into draws. We could go back over numerous games and there's been fine margins where we've maybe not got the points out of the games that we've probably deserved from the performances. So that is a little bit frustrating, but the solace we can take from that is that our performances haven't been that bad, barring Tuesday night. So we can take a bit of comfort knowing that we have got good performances in us, and we just need to make sure that we get that out on a more consistent basis, which I've talked about previously. But it's time for us to start being more consistent, and like I say, me as captain is one of my roles is to make sure, like I said, that we don't take Tuesday night to heart too much, and we move on as quickly and as smoothly as possible and get back to performing like we know we can.
Because getting a reaction out of this group hasn't ever been a problem, has it? But you're saying the consistency over a longer game, a longer run is obviously what's required.
Yes, I mean the most important thing is we've had reactions from bad performances a few times, but we've only had a few bad performances. It's not like we're, but what we've got to make sure is that we don't start letting the bad performances be more regular. So we have to keep constantly bouncing back. We need to, we had a good little run going. We need to get back on something like that, so we don't have to keep having a reaction and having crisis meetings and things like that, because nobody wants to be involved in that. Everyone wants to come in on a Monday morning or a Thursday morning, watch the review and have a smile on our face. We were laughing and joking after the Crewe game. We're going to bring popcorn in and watch the review because we felt we'd played so well. There'll be a few people with I think hands behind faces when we watch the reviews on Thursday this morning. So we've got to make sure that those bad performances aren't a regular occurrence, and they're a one-off or a few off every now and then, so we don't have to keep proving ourselves and bouncing back. But we definitely know that there is resolve in this group, and we know we can always come back from a bad performance.
And finally, is this one of those weeks where you might even look more so at yourselves rather than Cambridge, and perhaps do a little bit less on the opposition and just really focus on yourselves, do you think?
Potentially. We always do. Tim does a great job of preparing information for the players. so they know who they're playing against and what they're coming up against, and the manager explains things quite detailed. So I don't think things will change there, because we still need to make sure we are prepared. But we might spend a few more hours, like you say, reflecting on ourselves, reflecting on the performance, not just Tuesdays, but previous performances. Maybe reminding ourselves of what we are capable of, and also looking at ourselves and what we're going to do on Saturday, as much as what they're able and they're capable of doing. So I don't think we'll let off on what we do with regards to them, but there might be, like you say, maybe a little bit more time spent on getting back to our performances in our game.
Thank you. Good luck.
No, were you in the dressing room after Tuesday night, saying anything, being vocal, being encouraging?
It's kind of hypocritical of me to come out after the game and start pointing fingers and having a go at the team or individuals after I've let them down by being in the stands watching. So I'm not one to be a hypocrite and to do that, but I don't need to tell the players how bad the performance was on Tuesday. I don't need to come out and slaughter them, because that's not my job. But they knew themselves. They know that the performance wasn't definitely not what we're looking for, and that we'd let ourselves down. My role basically afterwards was, this is where character comes into it. It's easy to be a good player when everything's going well. It's when your chips are down. It's when you're up against it, is when the good players, the good characters, the leaders come out and shine. And that's what I was saying. These things, football is about ups and downs, and if it was only always up, then everyone would do it. It's when it's down, that's when it's hard. It's when it's at its hardest, and that's where you need to come out fighting. And that was sort of my role, just making sure that boys come in today, knowing ready to go again. These things happen. You have a bad performance, but there's a long way to go in this season, and we're 18 games in, so a lot of football to be played, and we need to make sure that we're mentally right. Physically, the boys will be there. There'll not be a problem on Saturday. It's mentally now is the most important thing, whether they're right. And I'm sure, I'll be rallying the troops, but I'm sure between the gaffer, Russ, and the rest of the staff, they'll be making sure everyone's ready to go.
Did your experience help you in that way, in terms of you've been in probably situations like this throughout your career, but some of the younger lads might have only enjoyed the success of last year, and maybe it's an individual thing. It's an arm around somebody just to say, "All right, mate, let's." Yeah,
different people, different characters react in different ways. Sometimes it's an arm around someone. Sometimes it's a telling off. Sometimes it's just a reminder of what they're capable of, and there's different ways to approach it. Experience has taught me a lot. I do know that you don't need to press the panic button 18 games in and start, doing things that you wouldn't do. Consistency is important in football, and I think, if you're consistently performing bad, then obviously things need to change. But that's not been the case. It's sort of there's only been one or two performances this season that's been under our expectations. One or two results might have not gone our way, but definitely since I've been back in the team, the performances have been quite high, even though we find ourselves in a peculiar situation at the minute in the league. We do know that a couple of wins will elevate us up the table, so we just need to stay positive, don't panic. Get back to basics really, and move on. And like I say, the experience that I've had over the years of avoiding relegation, of being relegated, does tell me that we're not in as bad a situation as I've been in before and got away with it. So I do know that we've got enough in this changing room to move on and to perform in this league. but we just need to make sure that we nip a few things in the bud early.
Is it almost a case of just ignoring the table now? It's so ridiculously compact and whatever. I mean, you're 23rd at the moment. You could be 14th or 15th come Saturday night. Do you just have to say, let's ignore that for a couple of weeks? Let's just get to 2 wins on the board and see where the dust settles.
Sometimes that is effective, and you can, like you say, you can go 3 or 4 weeks, and if you just don't look at things and don't focus, then you can all of a sudden find yourself, well, we've really moved up. But I think you still need to take note of who's around you and what's happening and where things are and where vital games are and important points are going to come from. And because you don't want to get caught out, like just thinking, we'll just try and win today. And then if you don't, all of a sudden it can go the other way and you find yourself 6 points adrift. You need to be on it still. But taking note of the position in the league it's still early, so there's still, like I've said, there's still a long time to go, and just because we're 23rd now doesn't mean we're going to finish 23rd. So we don't need to worry so much about our position at the minute, even though we are disappointed in where we are in the league. Like you said, a couple of wins on Saturday, we could find ourselves 6 points, 6 places further up the table. So yeah, we still have to be mindful of where we are in the league and not find ourselves all of a sudden adrift. But yeah, like I say, the most important thing is concentrating on the performance and the result on Saturday, and then we'll end up where we end up.
Cheers, mate.